Everyone has some degree of narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Rather than exotic disorders, these are dimensions of human personality that exist on a sliding scale. We can view human behavior as an operational system with adjustable parameters. Narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy sit at a low baseline alongside empathy. The risk increases when these traits reach high intensity and overlap. Destructive behavior occurs when the natural regulatory mechanism disappears. Empathy acts as the firewall that prevents aggressive ambition from turning into intentional harm. This field guide is designed to replace fear with precise observation. Treating these traits as operational variables provides a structural framework for managing them effectively. To understand how these variables interact, we have to look at how they manifest in subclinical, everyday environments. The clinical core of narcissism is a functional sense of entitlement. It functions as a baseline demand for preferential treatment and a reliance on external validation to stabilize a fragile self-image. You see this in the colleague who assumes leadership in a meeting and claims credit for a project despite executing none of the foundational work. Machiavellianism operates as a mechanism of strategic calculation and emotional detachment. In the Machiavellian worldview, human beings are chess pieces, assessed by their utility and maneuvered for positioning. The subclinical example is the habitual networker, who cultivates relationships only with people possessing immediate transactional value. Both traits rely on extracting value from others, but they often operate at a frequency that professional systems are designed to tolerate. The third trait, psychopathy, is often the most misunderstood. Clinically, it is defined by high impulsivity, thrill-seeking, and abnormally low anxiety. In a corporate setting, psychopathy manifests as a profound emotional detachment from the consequences of one's actions. Risk-tolerant startup founders and aggressive executive managers often profile high in subclinical psychopathy. These individuals can execute massive, stressful organizational pivots without ever experiencing the physical or mental symptoms of anxiety. The damage comes from a structural disregard for team burnout or the human cost of those pivots. At subclinical doses, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy mimic standard professional ambition. Because these traits can look like high performance, they often remain undetected until the lack of empathy causes a systemic collapse. This creates a paradox. If these individuals are destructive, why do they rise to the top of meritocratic hierarchies? Researchers Paul Babiak and Robert Hare studied corporate psychopathies to find the answer. They identified the mimicry effect, where toxic traits are systematically misinterpreted as leadership. Psychopathy is misread as decisive fearlessness under pressure. Machiavellianism is viewed as long-term strategic vision. Narcissism is rewarded as executive presence and confidence. This mimicry results in highly effective upward management. They project charm and competence to their superiors while undermining their peers and subordinates. They extract resources and credit from their teams to fuel their own trajectory. If you find these research-backed breakdowns helpful for navigating professional systems, subscribe to the channel. We build models like this every week. Modern corporate structures do not filter out the Dark Triad. They act as systemic accelerators for them. To prevent structural damage, you have to identify these individuals through behavioral data before you are entangled. The first signal is disproportionate charm. The intensity of their early engagement feels mismatched to the actual depth of the connection. This charm is a scanning mechanism deployed to map your vulnerabilities and determine your utility. The second signal is the victim narrative. In their accounts of past jobs or relationships, they are universally wronged and never accountable. Victimhood functions as a tool to extract sympathy and preemptively deflect future critiques of their behavior. The third signal is the boredom signal. A neurological need for stimulation means they often maintain connection through manufactured novelty, crisis, or intense drama. Recognizing these three signals provides a baseline for distinguishing strategic manipulation from genuine loyalty. In many professional or family contexts, you cannot simply walk away from these individuals. You simply cannot change their psychological baseline, and you cannot appeal to an empathy that is not present. Instead, use the minimum effective relationship framework. This moves your strategy toward rigid operational structure. Protocol 1 is parallel play. Work alongside them to accomplish the task, but divest your personal equity. Do not expect reciprocal collaboration. Protocol 2 is the information diet. Treat your personal data and opinions as classified information. Share nothing that can be weaponized in a future power struggle. Protocol 3 is documented agreements. Rely exclusively on written, trackable consensus. This prevents the distortion of reality or the changing of agreements later on. These protocols allow you to operate with clarity in high-risk interpersonal environments. Mapping their operational system ensures that your blind spots can no longer be exploited.